Imagine getting a tattoo today. The design looks sharp, the colors are vibrant, and it feels like a permanent piece of art on your skin. But have you ever wondered what actually happens to that tattoo 5, 10, or even 20 years later? Does the ink just sit there forever, or is your body constantly reacting to it in ways you can't see? The truth is, once a tattoo needle touches your skin, a fascinating biological process begins, one that involves your immune system, your skin cells, and even your bloodstream. When a tattoo artist creates a tattoo, the needle punctures your skin thousands of times per minute, depositing tiny ink particles into a deeper layer of skin called the dermis. This layer sits below the outer layer, the epidermis, which constantly sheds and regenerates. If the ink were placed only in the epidermis, your tattoo would disappear within weeks as your skin naturally renews itself. But because the ink reaches the dermis, it stays much longer, sometimes for life. However, your body doesn't simply ignore that ink. As soon as the tattoo is created, your immune system immediately recognizes the ink particles as foreign substances. Specialized immune cells called macrophages rush to the area, attempting to engulf and remove the ink particles. Some of these cells succeed and carry small fragments of ink away through the lymphatic system, but many of the particles are simply too large to be fully removed. So instead, something interesting happens. The macrophages trap the ink inside themselves and remain in the dermis. When these cells eventually die, the ink is released again and quickly captured by new immune cells. This cycle repeats over and over, essentially locking the ink into place beneath your skin. This is one of the main reasons tattoos can remain visible for decades. But even though the tattoo stays visible, it doesn't remain exactly the same. Over time, the ink particles slowly spread out within the dermis. Your body's natural processes like immune activity, collagen changes, and skin aging gradually alter the appearance of the tattoo. This is why tattoos often become slightly blurred or faded after many years. Sun exposure plays a huge role as well. Ultraviolet radiation from sunlight breaks down ink pigments and damages skin cells. As your skin repairs itself, it can cause colors to fade or shift. Black ink tends to last the longest, while brighter colors like red, yellow, and blue may fade more quickly. And then there's the natural aging process. As your skin loses elasticity and collagen over time, tattoos may stretch, wrinkle, or shift in appearance. Weight changes, muscle growth, or skin sagging can also alter the way a tattoo looks on your body. But the story doesn't stop at the skin. Scientists have discovered that tiny particles of tattoo ink can actually travel through your body over time. Some studies have found traces of tattoo pigments in lymph nodes, the small organs that help filter toxins and fight infections. While this doesn't necessarily mean tattoos are dangerous, it does show that the body continues interacting with the ink long after the tattoo is finished. As researchers continued studying tattoos more closely, they began discovering something surprising about what happens to tattoo ink over long periods of time. While most of the pigment stays trapped in the skin, extremely tiny particles can slowly migrate through the body's lymphatic system. The lymphatic system acts like a filtration network, helping remove waste, toxins, and foreign materials from the body. When microscopic fragments of tattoo ink break down, some of them travel through these lymphatic channels and end up in nearby lymph nodes. Scientists examining lymph nodes from tattooed individuals have actually found traces of colored pigments inside them. In some cases, the lymph nodes even appear slightly tinted by the ink. This happens because immune cells carry tiny particles of pigment to these nodes as part of the body's natural defense process. While this may sound alarming, current research suggests that in most healthy people, the body manages these particles without causing serious problems. Still, it highlights how tattoos interact with the body in ways many people never consider. Another long-term effect of tattoos involves how the ink itself changes over time. Tattoo inks are made from various pigments and compounds, and some of these substances can slowly break down due to sunlight, heat, and natural chemical reactions in the body. Ultraviolet radiation from the sun is especially powerful at altering ink pigments. Over years of sun exposure, certain colors may fade, change tone, or become less vibrant than they once were. That's why older tattoos often appear softer, slightly blurred, or less colorful than they once were. Skin renewal also plays a role. Even though the dermis holds the ink in place, the upper layers of your skin constantly regenerate. As your body replaces skin cells, the way light reflects off the tattoo gradually changes. This contributes to the fading effect people notice as tattoos age. There's also something interesting about how the body heals around tattoos over the long term. When a tattoo is first created, your skin experiences controlled trauma from thousands of tiny needle punctures. The body immediately begins repairing this damage by producing collagen and activating healing cells. This process forms a stable layer of skin around the ink particles. Over time, however, collagen levels naturally decline as part of aging. As collagen weakens, skin may become thinner or less firm, which can subtly affect the appearance of the tattoo. For some people, tattoos may also trigger rare immune reactions years later. In uncommon cases, the body may develop delayed allergic reactions to certain pigments, especially red inks, which historically contain compounds that are more likely to cause irritation. These reactions might appear as itching, swelling, or raised areas around parts of the tattoo. While this is not common, dermatologists occasionally see these delayed responses even long after the tattoo was placed. Another factor many people don't realize is how lifestyle changes can influence tattoos over the years. Significant weight gain or weight loss can stretch or compress the skin, altering the shape of the tattoo. Muscle growth can also shift the design slightly depending on where the tattoo is located. For example, tattoos on the stomach, chest, or upper arms may change more noticeably compared to tattoos on areas with less skin movement. Pregnancy can create similar changes because the skin expands and then contracts again afterwards. While tattoos usually remain recognizable, their proportions or sharpness may shift slightly as the skin adjusts. Yet, despite all these changes, immune activity, aging skin, sun exposure, and microscopic ink movement, most tattoos remain remarkably stable for decades. This durability is one of the reasons tattoos have existed across human cultures for thousands of years. Once the ink becomes embedded within the dermis and managed by immune cells, it forms a surprisingly long-lasting partnership with your body. But there's still one more fascinating question scientists continue to study. What happens when people decide to remove tattoos years later, and how the body handles breaking down that ink after it has been sitting in the skin for so long? This leads to one of the most fascinating parts of the tattoo story. What happens when someone decides to remove a tattoo years later? By the time someone considers removal, that ink has often been sitting inside the dermis for many years, tightly held in place by immune cells and surrounded by healed skin tissue. So removing it isn't as simple as pulling the ink out. Instead, modern science relies on a clever method that once again involves your immune system. The most common tattoo removal method today is laser treatment. During this process, highly focused laser pulses are directed at the tattoo. These pulses carry intense energy that specifically targets the pigment particles inside the skin. When the laser hits the ink, it shatters the larger pigment particles into extremely tiny fragments. Once those fragments become small enough, the immune system can finally do something it couldn't do before: remove them. Macrophages and other immune cells begin collecting the broken down ink particles and slowly transporting them away through the lymphatic system. Over several weeks and multiple laser sessions, more and more pigment is cleared away, causing the tattoo to gradually fade. However, the process takes time because the body must safely process those particles. Some tattoos require multiple treatments spread out over months or even years, depending on the ink color, depth, and size. Black ink tends to respond best to lasers because it absorbs light efficiently, while colors like green or yellow can be much harder to remove. But tattoo removal doesn't just affect the ink, it also affects the skin itself. The laser creates controlled damage to break apart pigment, which triggers the skin's healing process again. As the skin repairs itself, collagen production increases temporarily. In many cases, the skin heals well, but sometimes mild scarring, discoloration, or texture changes can occur, especially if the tattoo was very deep or the removal treatments were aggressive. Even after removal, tiny traces of pigment may still remain in the skin or lymph nodes. That's because some particles become so deeply embedded that the body cannot fully clear them. However, these remnants are usually microscopic and not visible to the eye. Another interesting aspect researchers are studying is the long-term chemistry of tattoo ink inside the body. Some tattoo pigments contain metals or synthetic compounds that can slowly change when exposed to sunlight, heat, or natural chemical reactions in the body. Ultraviolet radiation from the sun is especially powerful at altering ink pigments. Over years of sun exposure, certain colors may fade, change tone, or become less vibrant than they once were. What's truly remarkable